Are you ready for the eclectic one?
We had a little hiccup there. We were supposed to run the intro. Last night, last 2 nights, there's been a couple connection problems. We're working all of these through. I know I'm jumping on early tonight, but I thought I would maybe, I don't know, hang out, have a couple sips before we got into 2 years in the making. If back in the day, you had to wait 2 years to read what Wetworks was all about. And let me tell you, this is one of the toughest books I ever had to get into for Wildstorm Wednesday. Not so. Look, right now, like there are so many little threads to go and to get into, but Brandon Chow, right? He gets a really bad name. He gets an absolutely bad name. Here's the crazy thing. I believe Brandon Chow is one of the best scripters working in comics during this time, because I feel like what he had to deal with and the things he got from his collaborations is inspirational, groundbreaking, and a whole lot of fun, and we like fun. Real quick, this right here is bothering me. I keep looking at it. I'm going to have to change that. Don't mind my hairy arm. Should we go to bubble? Should we go to default? Should we go to block? Or minimal? I like minimal. Okay. Let's just get back there. So, yeah, Wetworks is a loaded gun. A lot of people say that they love Wetworks. I think they're lying. Visually, it's one of the most confusing Wildstorm books out there. Now, I don't really attack creators as much as I attack the editorial, the publishing, and the direction for the books. At this time, Wildstorm's track record is pretty solid. They're growing a universe. They have a 2-year-old book that they're still committed to, that they're putting out. From a publishing standpoint, and a new publisher at that is very commendable. It's a big deal that they kind of saw this all the way through. Now, I remember back in the early Wizard interviews and the Wizard conversations, the whole pitch that Wells had for Wetworks was that it was and this is not verified, it's not corroborated, so by any means, feel free to correct me. Let's get that gold lighting out of here. So, the idea of what Wetworks meant was a term that actually is linked a little bit to the coronavirus. The coronavirus is said to come from a wet market. Wetworks meant bloody mafia slaying. Like it was a crime term, and it was called Wetworks. There were operators that would be wet workers, meaning that they were enforcers, bloody enforcers. Now, I read that when I was a teenager. I could be remembering it wrong. The cool thing in here is that Wetworks becomes the scientific, the term for the symbiote, the golden casing for these soldiers. So it's a loaded bag. There's a lot here. We're going to go through the first 6 issues, because I feel like the first 5 are definitely worthwhile. And like I would say, my experience with this series runs roughly through maybe like the first 10 issues. There's a lot that happens in every single issue, by the way. And Brandon Chow does pack this. He does espionage. He does military talk. He does, like the comic book science. and he does do quips between the characters very well. These are all traits that would get him hired by the big two any day of the week. The idea that he's able to bob and weave through all these different Wildstorm books and pretty much be Jim Lee's like number two when it comes to the creative stuff, it says a lot. It says that Brandon Chow is able to, rock and roll with the big boys, lots of ego, lots of money. These books are making millions of dollars. There's a lot to be said. Visually, we're looking at a masterpiece here. Speaking of masterpieces, we got Trial by Fire. Oh my God. A lot of weird updates are coming for Trial by Fire. The book is printing. It is coming out happily. 24 years in the making. This is my lifelong passion project. This took 2 years. This took 24. But we're working on this every single day. You can find this on Indiegogo. I'm going to try and get it in demand because the print run for this is going to be pretty substantial. So, like, I can't wait. I can't wait to mail that out. And then, speaking of mailing, we have my mini comic book, Uzi Susie, right here. And Uzi Susie is a revenge masterpiece, because I'm going to call everything I do tonight masterpiece. This is issues 1 and 2. I call this my Rona comic. I am knee deep in issue 3. Uzi Susie is a revenge-filled tale. If you really like Kill Bill and the Toxic Avenger and Hobo with a Shotgun, Uzi Susie is for you. 2 villains premiere in every single issue. These are the 2 guys that premiere in issue 2. 2 villains, every single issue will be 12 pages. So we have condensed, we have some very good quick storytelling and a lot of fun. So you can find that on Etsy. We have really good packages like trading cards and stuff like that, all available with Uzi Susie. So books from the 90s get a really bad rap. They really do. It's because they were late. A lot of these books from a new publisher, from companies that really never dealt with publishing. We can do some of this. Right? That helps a little. Right? I mean, people think that these guys were just you could just crank out a whole universe worth of comics. Okay, nobody had experience with Image Comics. Just the idea that Wildstorm, in my view, really hit the ground running. That Eric Larson was able to carry basically like the solo book with Savage Dragon. Like Savage Dragon did become the consistent monster Image needed it to be. Jim Lee, not a lot of attention on Wildcats, and Rob Liefeld, not a lot of attention on Youngblood. Mark Silvestri, great job with Cyberforce. But everyone was, putting together these universes. And this is the one book, during this time, that doesn't fit into the Wildstorm universe at all. We have visuals that don't mix. And I kind of want to say I do view this as a little bit of a vanity project, because Wells had this prestige format book at Marvel called Legion of Night. And he put Legion of Night and Forge and Bishop were the 2 prominent characters during his X-Men run. He puts Forge with Legion of Night and he mixes it together and he calls it Wetworks. He's one of the best reflective drawers. Like, his reflections are absolutely fantastic. The best reflection artist of his time is right here. So all the characters are chrome. They're all gold and silver surfers, military guys. There's a lot that doesn't work here. So we have a editorial Wells kind of explains the lateness of the book. So there was always like controversy and lost like scenarios on what created the lateness for Wetworks. The lateness of Wetworks came from the death of his sister. It affected him. I've heard stories of every single family member, every single possible scenario. There was even like rumors of a deportation. I mean, this is comic shop talk, okay? No, it's his sister. It's printed here, so there's no back and forth on that anymore. I mean, we have the answer. So here we go. Wells knows how to draw military guys. What are his weak spots? Well, his weak spots is, and he does this a lot, but that's fine. He rotates and pulls back the camera and does these like up angle 3/4 shots. We'll see a little bit more of this. His faces are tough. His strong suits, gear, lighting, and his paneling has a lot of negative space that just creates a good amount of like panel to panel, left to right eye flow, where you just weave, like you instinctively know where to go. His layouts seem cheap, but they're very advanced. And the problem we have is we have a team of military guys and they all look the same. And all of these guys are going to look the same once they get chromed. So they're being sent on a mission, Transylvania. We have a reference here for Team 7. This might be the first Team 7 reference in the Wildstorm universe. Might be. I'm not 100%. I got to like check some of that. So, and then we have, the story of these guys coming in. Transylvania's in the Civil War. They encounter like vampires. They're supposed to shut down this virus that these rebels are going to release onto the populace. And then we have this, shady character going to be revealed later, being more intentional. She shoots these bats. The bats spill. They cover the leader. The gold. I mean, like it's so ridiculous at that point. But the gold covers his shades, which I love. His like eye gear, and then we have this exposition. A display of powers, and then the rest of the team are trying to kill the rest of these soldiers that broke in, and there's just like all these comments of like how tough they are to kill. And then we have, we kind of have the rest of the team. They all get doused in the gold. And then we have the Wetworks team fighting futuristic vampires. I mean, great shot there. But futuristic vampires, really great tech. See what I mean about the negative space here for his layouts? Top notch. I mean, it's tough. I mean, analyzing why his negative backed or his wide open layouts work so well is mind-boggling. But here we go. Like, we're rocking and rolling, and we kind of have this building story of vampires, werewolves joining forces. They're going to become friends with the Blood Queen, and Wetworks will be the secret team, the Navy SEAL, so to speak, to take them out. And that's the plot, and that's the struggle within the story of Wetworks. And during these issues, we'll see the transition of all Wildstorm house ads to legit advertising house ads. And it's funny, but already at this point, we have the Wildcats cartoon coming. We have some really nice advertisements for the trading cards. So, but issue 2, I just bought this. From a bookstore. I pulled it out of a box. They charged me $1, and the next day, I go to a convention and I'm able to get issues 1 through 6 for about $5. But I bought a pack of them, so I was hoping to get like a double of 2. But the 2 I got was an alternate cover. And a lot of this was Portacio's coming out party. It was his like return to comics, and Jim Lee and Wildstorm gave him 1 cover for every single one of their titles. I think they had 9 books at the time, But there's 9 pieces to this, and it makes a giant image of all the characters kind of like zapping through voids portal. I'm pretty sure there's 9 of these. I kind of, or there 6 or 9. There's 6 or 9 of these. I'm going to get these and just like frame them because I think they're so freaking cool. But this is a variant cover, so we'll just throw that there. Now we have a cover issue with a lot of these Wetworks issues. Cover issue. Here's what I mean. Okay, I don't think the covers ever sell the book very well at all. Okay, there's nothing on these covers that we see that makes me want to like really buy the book and pick this out of comparable books on the shelf. This is why I think, and he wrote this. The first 3 issues roughly is the origin of Wetworks. Again, another variant here. Okay, so this should have been your issue 1. And it should have been like $3, and they should have got everyone on board with this, made it super cheap, made it super affordable, to really kind of make up for a lot of the lateness that plagued comic shops at this time and started to weigh down the industry. I think that would have been the responsible move. Jim Lee, publishing mastermind, plays this long ball and really makes people take a big time investment in reading and kind of exploring Wetworks. But here we go. Like we're firing on all cylinders here. Brandon Chow, Joe Chido, colors, Scott Williams inks. We got some great ink assistance here. We got these pinups rolling in. Okay, we got Image, Wildstorm. Like we're rocking and rolling here. We're doing a lot of great things. Again, right, white, negative space. The captioning here is just fantastic. The characterization with the bubbles is fine. They are in the danger room type sequence. We discover a weakness within Wetworks, which is, and yeah, this is creative. If there's enough traction, we'll say, if there's enough punishment on the metal, the Venom symbiote, the gold symbiote that covers these guys, if there's enough pressure on it, it cannot cover the entire body for a long period of time, and there will be weaknesses that get exposed. Okay, vulnerabilities, and then that's your opening. So they set this up, which I think is very smart. Again, look at the wide open. I'm absolutely in love with his layouts. I'm absolutely in love with his gear. I just wish these characters were a little bit more distinctive. We're in New Orleans. We have the like almost like a tribalistic religious character trying to unite the vampire nation. We are introduced to the Blood Queen here. Blood Queen's been in power for 500 years. She doesn't quite care. Also, shout out to Backlash, getting his own miniseries from the success of Kindred. We'll be doing Kindred hopefully next week. We'll be doing Kindred. Excellent pin up here. Some Wildstorm animation advertisements, but look at his tech. All right, and this is what I mean by the 3/4 upshot. He's addicted to it. He does it well. Sometimes he nails it, sometimes he doesn't. But pulling back the camera establishes a lot, and it's a great storytelling gimmick. But here we go, and we're rock and rolling vampires. Thwart a cargo ride to get some nice weapons. It's a biological weapon. The team hears about it. Right here, Mother's like, it's most likely going to be used during a Grateful Dead concert at Madison Square Garden. It's a good pun there. It's on the nose, but look at the team. Again, how can we separate the team characters? We really can't. It's tough. But yeah, and here we go. And then we end this issue with a dream sequence, which I think is very effective. The team leader fighting these vampires, and he's in a moment of weakness, and his suit opens up for the vampire's bite, and it's against his will, and he kind of wakes up from this nightmare, foreshadowing great fear. If that's like your superpower is being covered with something that's invincible, really nice. So this, again, we have to rate this on the scale of Wetworks working within the Wildstorm universe. It's tough, people. It really is. Where's issue 3 at? It's really tough. Issue 3 is right here. We'll queue up issue 4. It's tough. Now, these covers, I think there might have been multiple covers of this style, or there might have been 2 Grail covers where Grail is transformed and there's one that he's not transformed. Grail clearly is like your standout visual character. I kind of want to say more care should have been taken with the rest of the character designs as Wells took with Grail. Grail is also a great name. It's a great idea to have him with that name available within a vampire comic. It just works so well. But yeah, again, we have Wells just doing some great storytelling. We're at a concert. Again, he's drawing everything great, but the heads. He'll later become a fully rounded artist. But this is essentially a scene we see in Blade 2. A lot of power demonstrations, a lot of fighting. This is what you would want from a book like this. But we're just really rocking and rolling. But look, again, these three-quarter up shots, completely wide open background, and it really works. Tough, a little tough here with these. See, and I love Mother's word balloons because just round the corner squares and it's yellow. Really cool stuff. Yeah, and I would say there was a time that I viewed Wells's layouts as lazy and unattached. And look, check that out, dude. Savage Dragon, busting into Backlash. Got Jim Lee developed game. Blackthorn, I think he was the visual art director for this, visual designer. And again, we're cranking out the Wildstorm trading cards. So issue 5, I didn't realize this until I read the issue. There's a reflection of Grifter on the arm here. I never noticed that. So this is the big crossover issue. So keep in mind, if we bundled issues 1, 2, and 3 together, and the next issue was 3, which is an all-action issue, power transformation issue, power display issue, and then the next issue we have a Wildcats interaction crossover. I think on the publishing standpoint, that should have been the move. I think to really push the idea of Wetworks, they should distance it from Wildstorm universe, Wildstorm proper. Yeah, Skull Diamond, dude. I almost reached out to you, buddy. Thanks for everyone. We have Skull Diamond 94 in the house. I was going to hit you up, dude, because I kind of haven't noticed. It looked like you were a little quiet on social media. I was getting a little bit worried. We're doing Wetworks. You tuned in at the absolute best time because I think this is the best issue within the first year of Wetworks. Issue 5 and 6, and we're only going up to 6. This is like the Wildcats fight, and you see the Wetworks guys. Issue 4, you see them just completely lay waste to vampires and werewolves. No problem there. Now we're going to see them fight some superheroes, and we kind of see. We do see like Wells drawing like his way. I mean, his proportions here for Maul are completely mind-boggling. Again, the negative space in the back, that's your Wells Portacio trope. Heavy blacks, delicate shading or in cross-hatching. He's breaking up the black. He's so artful with that. Nice up 3/4 shots. Again, it's a trope. But good bit here. Maul picks up Dane and says, I always wanted one of these. I would like to thank, because he's picking the Wetworks guy up as if he is a Academy Award. Awesome trick here. But Spartan's hair just always got me. Fantastic drawn hair. Yeah, and then we got some more interactions. We got Void doing her thing. We got Voodoo. They're kind of going through this room again, just like mold bodies, all destroyed by Wetworks. And then bang, Wetworks says goodbye to Wildcats that quick. And look, he just throws Zealot in there. We don't even see Zealot. At this time, Wildstorm was really good with incorporating all of these other factors within their continuity. Wetworks never really fit. Like, I feel like this should never have happened. They were so progressive and smart when it comes to the type of storytelling, like the guts of the story. The vampire revisionist, the werewolf revisionist, the coming together of these nations to wage war against humanity. Again, this is like Underworld. This is like pre-Blade. I don't know, people. Like, Wetworks is very progressive when it comes to vampire fiction. The military angle, I always loved the shot too of the motorcycle. But yeah, we have some Wetworks R&R. We're really introduced to the werewolves at this time. We had the best and the absolutely very best werewolves in comics. Wells Portacio's proportions and takes on the werewolf is just fantastic. If you want to know more and see more of this, the McFarlane Toys did a couple versions of a werewolf skull. Might have been McFarlane Spawn Series 3 or Series 4, but they did like a brown werewolf and like a gray one. Absolutely killer stuff. And then here we go. We have the rise of the Vampire Nation to be continued. So, and then we have something special here. So Wells visits his home country, goes back to the Philippines, and he discovers like this whole comic book community coming up, a lot like Image. He compares these guys to Image, and he gets them all to draw some Wetworks. So, and he's pushing talent from his own country, and it's freaking awesome. Really nice work here. But we can see with this spread that you literally cannot tell the difference of one Wetworks character versus the other outside of the Grail and outside the Mother here. Everyone else just blends together. So that's what you get. I'm kind of on the hunt for a box of these. I didn't realize that the Wildcats cartoon had a trading card set. I really want that. And then don't forget Warblade Ripclaw drawing by our boy here, Scott Clark. This is a must review. This is upcoming. So issue 6. Issue 6 is really going to push the story forward. We have more of a focus on the Vampire Nation. This is such a great top shot here. Just one of their vampire temples. Again, these visuals would later become prevalent in nearly every single vampire interpretation idea. Like, it's really cool to see where his mind was and where the ideas were with Wetworks. And the only thing that holds Wetworks back is that it takes place in the Wildstorm universe. But look at his design work here. It's just fantastic. Again, the white, look at the white. The white and the wide open negative is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I know he came back. So Wells did come back for volume 2, and I think he might have drawn volume 2 for 6 issues. I think volume 2 lasted for 12 or 13 issues. Volume 1, this volume here, lasted, I think, for 46 or 47 issues. I forget how far up he goes within the stack. He might have been the first 10. I want to say like the first 10 issues were all Wells. And then it kind of becomes up. But check this out there. Look at these vampires here. Really wild looking stuff. And it's weird because when it comes from a storytelling standpoint, we got the fight in issue 4 a little bit too late. We got the Wildstorm crossover part a little bit too late. And we're getting like we're knee deep in the Vampire Nation a little bit too late, but we have some really good exposition here. Popmon, fantastic pinup here. I really want to do pinups like this that are just like double page spreads that end up in the middle. And then again, continuing from the previous issue, we have the Wetworks team traveling cross country. We have Dozer here just kind of going through this very, very weird transformation. He can kind of like control himself. It's very confusing. It's very weird. I would say very anime. I would just get some good. Look, again, at one time, I would bash this for like kind of like the lack of background, right? Lack of backgrounds, too much negative space. But I think it picks up the paneling. It does make the paneling flow in a very, very nice way. It makes me want to experiment. Great name for the letter column too, the deep end. So, and then there we go. So like I did, let me just point out this one idea here that floated. It's here somewhere where they give you the definition. Here we go. This isn't a biological warfare agent. It's cutting edge biotechnology, a biometallurgy compound saturated and controlled by nanotech wetware. So they've retconned. Oh wait. Nikki Harris. Wait. So Wetworks is in the ballistic crossover? I did not know that. Oh, wow. Okay, we have to get the ballistic one then. So, yeah, so I was just kind of like, you're coming in almost at the end. I was just like informing, reading this caption here that kind of basically retconned where the Wetworks name came from, which was a mafia crime, like, you know, term of a guy that got bloody when he did his criminal enforcement for the mafia. And they retconned it into the WET became a nanotechnology definition. But yeah, and right here too, we got to put Skull Diamond up on the screen. Getting wet for the Wetworks. We are doing it. But everyone, Wildstorm Wednesday is every single Wednesday. I will be away next week until Monday, but I'm doing everything as scheduled. Next week will be something cool. I said it earlier. I kind of forget. Oh, and keep in mind for the Joe Mad exploration. These are. I'm doing Joe Mad pickups by the week, almost by the day. I got 2 more X-Men issues. So I'm developing a stack to do a complete Joe Mad X-Men stack. Look forward to those. And then we will be doing this. So between Wildstorm, like we will be exploring Silvestri and Top Cow and Silvestri, Top Cow, and Marvel. This is what I consider to be like the final X-Men story. This is the absolute end of the X-Men universe. To me, Grant Morrison ends everything with the X-Men. At one time, I said that with the Onslaught storyline, I was fine with everything ending at Onslaught. This picks it up though, and it is like a nice like potential epilogue to Onslaught. And then we have the Days of Future Past, Grant Morrison style, Mark Silvestri style. I prefer this than Days of Future Past any day of the week. Yeah, definitely. Nikki, dude, we will be doing it. We will be rocking and rolling with that, dude. You kind of blew my mind with that because I think I had that ballistic miniseries at one point, and you know it went down the memory hole. I really forgot it. And then anyone out there that wants to follow me on social media, on my Insta, I will be updating this. This is my March of Droids sketchbook, and I just wanted it to be a little bit more cartoony. So I'm just doing quick cartoony like line drawings. I'm using a lot of whiteout for the highlights. And we got Roboto here from Masters of the Universe. We got Data here, but it's 31 days, 31 robots, Power Droid from Star Wars. So you can keep a lookout for that. And then everyone, just don't forget at all. Available on Etsy right now. We have Uzi Susie. So I put my money where my mouth is. I might criticize a lot of stuff and be critical, but I'm also making comments. So I put my money where my mouth is. Cheers, thank you, and rock and roll.